Do you like scales? Of course you do. Do you spend a lot of time jamming with the humble major scale? Of course you don't. It's long, fiddly, and on first listen it sounds good for little more than the wheels on the bus go round and round. But there is a whole world of possibility available to us when we explore it. Let me attempt to illustrate with a little bit of help from the Pixies. So you've probably learnt the major scale at some point. Usually in my experience people have been made obliged to by some teacher, but a quick recap perhaps is in order. So the major scale, like any scale, is a series of intervals. In this case it's made up of a series of tones and semitones. A tone, or a whole tone, being a distance of 2 frets on the guitar. A semitone, if you haven't guessed already, is a distance of 1 fret. So, for example, if we begin our major scale journey on the note of C, we would construct the scale by moving up a tone, first of all, which would bring us to D. Then we go up another tone to E, then a semitone to F, a tone to G, another tone to A, another tone to B, and then the final semitone brings us back to C, an octave higher than the one we started on. Now, an important point to bear in mind straight away, that gives you not only a palette of notes you can draw upon, but a group of chords as well. When we get into harmonising the notes of the major scale, we can construct very effective chord progressions. So the way this is done is we would take the first note, the third note and the fifth note of the scale, combine them to get our triad, our chord. So first of all we would take the root note, the C, the third, which was the E, and the fifth note, which was the G, and from that we get a C major triad. And we can do that for each note in turn in the scale. So for example, if we considered D to be our starting note, we then travelled up 3 notes within the scale, we would get to F, then up to the 5th note above D, which is A, we would get a D minor triad, and so on. If we did that for each note in turn within the major scale, we would get the following list of chords: C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, and B diminished. And spoiler alert, we are not going to bother with the B diminished chord. Apologies if that was all pretty familiar stuff, but very, very important to bear that in mind when we get into composing with the scale. So let's look at something Pixies style. The Pixies would frequently use the major scale, both from the point of view of constructing chord progressions and melodies, to create these really bright and bouncy kind of songs. You wouldn't particularly have guessed they were both Kurt Cobain and Tom York's favourite band, would you? But anyway, I should make clear as well before we start that whilst it's always delightful to have people jump in the comments and tell you that you're getting things wrong, please don't feel you have to tell me that I'm playing these songs wrong. I'd like to make it clear to you and to any copyright holders who happen to be watching, I'm not playing any particular songs, I'm doing riffs in the style of, okay? So, first of all then, a chord progression in the aforementioned key of C. We're going to play a 4-chord sequence starting on our root chord C. We're then going to move to the 5th chord from within the scale, which is a G major. Then to chord 2, which is D minor. Then chord 4, which is F. And do it in this light kind of strumming style. And I've got a little bit of a rhythm pre-recorded on the looper here, which I will add that to. Then we're going to play a little bit of a lead melody over the top, again just using notes from the C major scale. I'm going to play it up in this region of the neck here though, kind of based around this C note at the 5th fret on the G string. So we are going to play We're going to start on the E here, 5th fret on the B string, and kind of work our way down. E, D, C, and then we're going to go back to the B at the 4th fret on the G string, and then go C, and then slide up to D for this kind of a thing. And then a second phrase, very similar. Where it just resolves to the C note at the end. And whilst they would often play these very sweet sounding melodies, they would make them sound quite wiry and aggressive. So I'll add a little bit of drive to that. Let's turn that down slightly. Let's see how that sounds over the track then. Okay, for the next example, I'm going to jump over to the key of E major. So, different bunch of chords and notes, obviously, but the construction, the theory is exactly the same. So, if we start from an E note and follow that same series of tones and semitones, we get the following notes. E, F sharp, G sharp, A, B, C sharp, and D sharp. And that is going to give us the following chords. E major, F sharp minor, G sharp minor, A major, B major, C sharp minor, and D sharp diminished. So different, but it's the exact same order of majors, minors, and diminished. So the sequence this time is going to start on our root chord of E. And we are then going to move over to the 6th chord, the C sharp minor. Then 3, G sharp minor, and then 4, which is A. So. And again, I've got a rhythm that I'll record that onto. And for the lead line here, we're going to really make use of something that the major scale has that things like the pentatonic scales don't have, and that is semitones, notes that are right next door to each other. That can create some really interesting melodies. So what I'm going to do here is play the E, the root note at the 5th fret on the B string, and then play the 3rd above it, the G sharp on the E string at the 4th fret, and do a kind of repetitive chiming sort of a thing like that. That's going to happen over both the E major and C sharp minor chords. We're then going to drop that E note down a semitone to the D sharp and still play the G sharp above it. And then I'm going to play this little melody at the turnaround using semitones. So we're going to go D sharp E, 4-5 on the B string, and then G sharp A, and then back to G sharp. So that's 4-5-4 on the E string, and then E, D sharp at the end. And if you want to kind of offset the natural sweetness of that to some degree, again, like the last example, you could go really obnoxious with the distortion. Let's add something like that. Make it a little bit uglier. So there we go, a few ideas for writing with the major scale, Pixies style. Really hope there was some stuff of interest there to you. If so, please consider liking and subscribing, or maybe even signing up for my newly launched memberships. That would mark you out as a truly spectacular human being. But anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, and I'll see you with something else soon. Cheers.